Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Linda Lang.
Hi, this is Linda Lang, and we are exploring the mystical side of life once again this week with Beth Engerson. Beth is a lipsologist, so we're going to have a very interesting conversation about what your lips say about you. Welcome, Beth.
Thank you so much, Linda. So Lipsology is the art and science of lip print reading. It's been around for probably about 20 years or so. I'm one of only 9 certified lipsologists in the entire world. It was created by Jilly Eddy, and the way that she started it was that she had a coffee table book of famous people's lip prints. Her brother, as a joke, put his lip prints next to those of Mick Jagger's. And so it kind of got her thinking. And then a few years later, she owned a limousine company called Lips Limousine. And so as part of tips, people would leave her with their lip prints. And so she's collected over 10,000 sets of lip prints. And it's based on a combination of handwriting analysis, palmistry, phrenology, which is the study of bumps on people's heads. And a lot of it just comes from asking people about their lip prints and then developing kind of the theories around the most common aspects.
Does it have to be a lip print that you read, or can you actually tell traits from the shapes of lips when you're looking at people?
It has to totally come from lip prints. And you can make lip prints using lipstick and or red wine works as well on like a glass or a piece of paper. Not as easy to read as lipstick.
I can't imagine what it would have been like for Jilly to start to jump in to lip prints and personality traits and then finding correlations. Is there anything else that the lips tell us besides personality traits?
Sure, absolutely. So it tells about personality, preferences, health, energy, stress, all of those things.
Can it pinpoint kind of places where we're off track, let's say? Like perhaps what our true nature is as compared to what we're living. Does that show up in your lips?
So it's a snapshot of what's happening in the moment. And there's certain characteristics, how our personality and everything that happens to us changes. So does our lip print. But there are certain things that will kind of remain the same.
So why would someone be interested in actually having a lip print reading?
I think that it's a lot of fun. Also, sometimes we forget things about ourselves.
And so a person would put lipstick, or as you said, red wine works, on their lips. And then what?
They can kiss a piece of paper or anything that the pigment can transfer to and that it's readable.
When you pucker up and kiss something, the shape of your lips sort of changes a little bit.
Absolutely. And the person's energy is transferred into that lip print. So if the person's energy is low, the color of the lip print is going to be very light. And so that tells me that the person's energy is low. If, the pressure that they put on it is heavier, they have a lot more energy. And so that transfers to the lip print as well.
How long have you been working with lip prints?
I've been certified since 2015.
How did you get interested in even taking the certification?
So that's a really great story. So a friend of mine, her ex-husband now, used to read palms with Ariana Lightning Storm. And so I had met her and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then I saw her months later, and she had the lip print of someone that had raised funds and volunteered with breast cancer awareness and breast cancer research. And within the lip print was the breast cancer ribbon.
That's pretty cool.
At that point, I was like, okay, I need to know more about this. I don't go in like looking for specific characteristics. They kind of jump out at me.
So I suppose that's probably what that person really needs to hear the most.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I like to say there are no secrets, that who we are is written everywhere in our energy field, in our palm prints, in our eyes with iridology, in face reading, Chinese face reading, and apparently in your lips as well.
Absolutely.
Now, I did send you my lip print, so I'm kind of curious what you can determine from that. And let's just say, Beth, you don't know me really.
Nope.
I've got to say, it was a struggle for me to get these lip prints, right? I did a whole bunch of them and they just didn't look like my lips. It was just that last one when I decided to just pucker up and give it a kiss. And I thought, I don't know if any of these will work. So it's pretty funny.
There's people that it becomes a little bit of an anxiety provoking experience because they want to put these perfect lip prints on the page. But there's no such thing as a perfect lip print. Each one is really individual, and that person's lip print at that time.
And each one has a message, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Well, such great fun. I hope you keep on inspiring people with this kind of playful way to explore yourself.
Absolutely. That is a perfect way to put it. So you're quite a happy person. That's one thing that I definitely see. And you're positive in your outlook. Your energy kind of fluctuates through the day. So you're a little groggy, at least on this day that when you did the lip prints, you're a little groggy in the morning. And then like probably about 10, 11 o'clock, you have a little bit more energy. And then the afternoon, you kind of hit a low point, maybe about 2, 3 p.m. And then you have a little bit more energy in the evening.
In human design, I'm a projector, and we do not have a huge energy resource like some other profiles. And so, yeah, I do tend to kind of get up and relax a little bit. By 10 o'clock, I'm ready to start my day. So it is really very interesting that you could determine that in my lip print.
At least that day, you didn't have like a terrific amount of energy. It was a little bit on the low side, but not low where you needed to do things to restore yourself. Your lip print does change. So there's a couple of characteristics. People, you're that rock. You're that person that everybody comes to for advice, for resources. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
You're also that person that finds hidden talents within other people and helps them to develop those talents. This makes you a great coach, a teacher, a mentor to others. Does that make sense?
Well, that's essentially my business in a nutshell, right? Helping people find their true potential and stepping into it.
Your last lip print looks like a diamond. And so that is your personality sparkles and shines, and people come to you because of your personality.
It means something else too, Beth, which you've just given me absolute goosebumps, because before we started this call, I energized Beth's water. I channel an energy called the diamond ray. And apparently it's in my lip print.
Yes,
That's
it is.
crazy. That's crazy.
So sometimes, but not always, you are very cautious about getting to know people or that let them getting to know you. Does that make sense to you?
I love people and I love to chat with people, but there's only so much time in the day. So it's maybe a little more challenging to get into my inner circle, let's say.
Absolutely. And that's definitely showing up. In your lip print, that's one thing that shows up is your food preferences, at least at that time. And when you did the lip print, it's showing that you're kind of in a comfort food kind of place in terms of food that specifically brings you comfort.
Tried and true.
You like to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C.
What I would say about that is I do like to have some guidelines and I can pivot very quickly. I'm pretty flexible. So it's always like a working plan. It's never super rigid. It's never a super rigid plan.
But you have the different plans in your head just in case one doesn't work, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, there's always a backup plan. I have to pivot a lot with my husband, so he's been a good teacher for me.
You're definitely a good listener, almost always. That's a wonderful trait to have. It's showing that you're intuitive, which totally makes sense.
It amazes me that all of this is in the lip print. It really does amaze me.
You're kind of like an energizer bunny. You go and go and go and go until you can't go anymore.
I tend to work in spurts, I think. So I agree that I don't have a ton of energy all the time, like you had said at the beginning. And then when it kind of kicks in, I can get a ton of work done really quickly.
You know the things that you like, and if you kind of have your heart set on something, it's very hard to dissuade you one way or the other.
I am particular, that's for sure.
You sometimes have like and it's definitely showing up that you have a sarcastic side, but you don't say it. Does that make sense?
I can be sarcastic, absolutely. I can dish it out if I need to. It's not necessarily my true nature. It's just sometimes, I think sometimes that's a mechanism to express frustration, maybe.
Do you have like some kind of new project that you're starting and it's just like it could just be like a thought that's kind of far away?
Well, there is something that is, let's say, percolating, and I'm feeling the pressure of it. Not pressure is maybe not the right word, but feeling the presence of it.
That's definitely true because your lip print, only one of them is really showing some stress, and that's not a whole heck of a lot of stress. It wasn't something that was necessarily stressing you out at that moment.
I'm not stressed about it. I'm more curious because I like sort of know what it is, but I don't know what it is yet, right?
And that's exactly what I'm reading as it's in its infancy stages, whatever idea it is.
I'm open to it being more tangible so I have a better understanding and then I can, step into the actual creation of it. However, I do believe in divine timing too, right?
Absolutely. And right now, from what I can tell from the pictures, you're kind of thinking about the future. Your lip prints are more towards the right hand side of the page, which is thinking about the future and kind of like everyday activities in the future.
Yeah, I would agree with that actually. I do my best to be present in the moment, but there are some life changes that are going to be happening in the near future, and I'm curious how life will look when that happens.
Interesting. You like to have like lots of information before you're kind of taking on anything new,
Yeah,
and that's definitely showing up, as well as that you like to help people.
I do.
One other thing, and it only shows up in one, is to trust your gut. It's always right.
I do trust my intuition. Sometimes that logical mind will kick in, though, and it's like it told you this story and it has this plan and it sounds really good, like it's perfect. And then there's just this something's not right?
Yeah. And that's why I think it's only showing up in one.
And I think I've learned in my life that it's really important to listen to those gut reactions or that intuitive hit because there's something going on that the conscious mind isn't aware of.
Absolutely. And that's definitely what that signifies in a lip print. And are you kind of putting a lot of energy into some kind of project? And then people are aware of the work and the time and the effort that you're putting into it.
Well, you might say that about this podcast.
I kind of had a feeling that was the case.
It is an incredible amount of work, and I do love all the conversations I have, but it is a lot of work, especially when I see clients and have a membership program and do workshops on top of it.
That's kind of all that I can see at the moment.
It's pretty impressive, actually, just from a couple of lip prints that I didn't even think were very good.
Every single lip print tells a story. And so it's just looking at what that story is and what that reveals about you at that particular time.
It totally amazes me that there was a diamond in my lip print. That totally amazes me.
I think the cool part was that that was the last lip print. The other lip prints were that you're the rock, that fairy godmother to other people. And then the last one was that you sparkle and shine.
So, do you actually do this for yourself as well? Kind of a, I don't know, barometer to see how you're doing, maybe?
Every so often, yeah, I do. Because, we all have that, I guess, blind side to ourselves. So it's good to check in every once in a while.
I think this would be great fun at a party.
Absolutely. And that's what I do is parties, corporate events.
Very cool. And I could see how it could kind of open the door for people that aren't kind of used to this kind of a thing, how it could maybe spark a little interest and they could explore.
Absolutely. And I think, it's a really good way to get to know yourself. And if you're trying to do like some team building or something like that, because you get to know the people around you in a way that you wouldn't normally get to know them.
There's only 9 of you in the world, so you're a rare commodity, Beth.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Do you have any interesting experiences you can share with us about your lip reading?
Absolutely. So I have a friend that unfortunately went through cancer. One day I was reading her lip print and I saw that something was going on with her health. And so I asked her to please follow up with her doctor because I had done other lip print readings for her and it didn't have the markings of a health issue prior to that. I'm glad that she did follow up and get the treatment that she needed. I don't know if I was the person that was that catalyst, but I hope that that was part of it.
That's actually pretty amazing that you could tell there was a health issue. You couldn't tell exactly what the issue was.
I can't tell specifics, just generalities.
Can you tell if there's a health issue that's like on the mend or healing?
If the person has done several lip prints over time, and there's a point where there's a lot of dark spots in the lower lip print, and then as time goes on, those dark spots become less, then yes.
If people are interested, how can they get a hold of you?
You can look at my webpage, which is www.kiss-marks.com, or you can pop me an email at beth.kissmarks, all one word, @gmail.com.
Perfect, perfect. Well, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you so much, Linda. It was a pleasure.
And thanks for having a peek at my lips. So fascinating.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. If you enjoyed this conversation, please give us some love, like, comment, share with your friends, and make sure you subscribe. Come and visit me at thoughtchange.com. Check out my program, Alchemy from the Inside Out, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.